Hi, what are we watching, a movie?
No, we're doing a review of the movie.
Oh, what'd you go see?
Frozen 2.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
We just got out of Frozen 2.
I wore my Frozen shirt.
And I was very cold the whole
I
time.
wore my Frozen shirt too.
Jeremy, everybody, show them your Jeremy,
your
everybody,
Frozen
show them your Frozen shirt.
I'm wearing all blue, like ice.
Ollie's wearing
I'm
blue.
also
I'm white.
okay. So it is a Frozen day. So the first Frozen is 6 years old somehow. I feel like it just came out. I'll say that I don't dislike the first Frozen. I think that it's a movie that gave us really cool characters that are very likable that I wanted to do things with, but where I think the story is not that great, you know?
Yeah, I also, I enjoy the first Frozen. I think that this is something that we brought up while we were watching it, that I enjoy the music, I think, more than I enjoy the actual movie. I think that the music is really great, and actually, we'll get into it, but far superior to the music of this movie. Up until this point, I would tell you that Tangled is a much better movie than Frozen. I'll still tell you that Tangled is a much better movie than Frozen, but I would definitely say that Frozen 2 was more on par, in my opinion, and it was much more engaging and enthralling as an adult to watch than Frozen 1, which is definitely a kid's movie.
Which is cool because it took what I liked from Frozen 1, which is the characters, who I really do like everybody who's in the movie.
Right.
But put them in something that I think is a little more engaging. I think that that's cool.
Since we were going over our thoughts on the first Frozen, I really enjoyed the first Frozen, although it was not a movie that I ever felt compelled to see more than once. Like, I watched the first time, I was done, that was it. I did really enjoy this. It feels completely different than the first one. This is weird. It feels less like a story and more just like an exploration of the lore of this world, I guess.
I totally get that.
Which I'm okay with.
Frozen is my second most favorite Disney movie. All right, behind The Lion King, which I grew up on. I was worried going in because, you know, I had heard some negative things pretty much right before I saw the movie. I like that this movie knew its audience. You know, it's 6 years later. Those kids that were 6 or, 10 are now 12 and 16 watching this movie, and it definitely has a more adult tone to it, but it's not too adult, so it doesn't forget its roots in the comedic elements and what makes the first one good. As you said, the characters,
It's more mature.
it's more mature.
So you bring up that there were a lot of crappier reviews, and I was thinking about that as I was watching, because I was watching this and enjoying it significantly, like we said, more than the first one. Because the first one, I saw it, and I was like, okay, I know exactly what's going to happen at the end of this movie. I'm in the theater, and I already know. This one, I really didn't know where it was going. But I will say, I see, not that I agree, but I see what people are talking about when they are saying that it's forgettable, or they are saying that it's not as good, because there are a couple problems here that it depends on how much you value these things. It's not really fair, because Frozen is what it is, but none of these songs are as memorable as what was in Frozen.
I agree.
I agree. I was gonna say something similar. I think there's not a lot of songs that I'm gonna take away from
Right.
this.
I just saw the movie, and I couldn't tell you what any of them are, except for the one that you were just singing.
Into the unknown. If I start singing it, is that allowed? And the thing is, I think, like, although you might not know every word, you know more than let it go to let it go. You know what I mean? Like, you know more than let it go, let it go. Like this one, when you think of Into the Unknown, which is supposed to be this movie's Let It Go, what do you think of? Just Into the Unknown. Like, you don't know any of the other words to the song. Like,
I've only seen Frozen one time, and I know most of the words to
I
that
watched
duet.
it twice today.
But you and me, okay, we've only seen it once. I know most of the words to that, like, not even just Let It Go. Everybody knows Let It Go because it's on the radio.
But I think that's also because of the after effect.
Yes, but it's not,
And
when you
had so much
remember...
more time to know what the words are.
Sure,
I would
absolutely. But you know when you remember things a little more, like if you pushed me, and I had seen this a couple times, I really don't feel like any of these songs jump the same way that duet at the beginning.
Love's an Open Door.
That one.
Or even Do
That's
You Want to
the
Build a
best song.
Snowman?
Do you want to build a snowman? You know, and of course, Let It
Summer.
Go.
This soundtrack is a little bit more like this. It's not as wavy. It's not as much going on. But I feel like the first one is definitely a lot more up and down, where there's better songs overall, but there's also lesser songs in there.
I almost agree because I feel like a lot of the songs sounded the same.
I agree with that also. I think that
That's what happened.
I think that in this movie they couldn't really rely on it being more fun at the times that they were singing. I
Right.
think like whereas in the first movie it was like we only had one really like serious time when there was a song involved. You only have like one really serious moment where they're singing, which was Let It Go, which ended up being the hit. So it's like you don't even think about that being like the more like serious time in the movie, whereas like this movie there was just so much more seriousness happening that like the music that was going along with it was very like mature is the only
Just more
word that I can
serious.
think of. Yeah, more serious, more mature. There's like one or two songs that are fun, which is why I think they threw in that like really fun scene with Kristoff singing. But I think that that's why they did that, because they knew that all these songs were kind of like more tonally
It needed
serious.
a break. The movie
Right.
needed a break from itself.
And it needed to definitely give you some comic relief before it got heavy.
Happiness.
And it
And I
got
think
very
that's
heavy.
that's where my gripe is is like you're saying, it is heavy. And
Yeah.
that in that being the case, I understand that's what they were trying to do in the movie. I will never listen to any of these songs.
I can agree with that also to an extent, because I just like I like the music, but I don't see myself like wanting to learn all the words to the songs like I did, for Love Is an Open Door.
And I do think this soundtrack is kind of lacking that go-to song to learn.
Yeah, there's nothing that jumps. That's what I'm saying, But I could also see people sitting down and saying, the plot kind of hits a fast forward point, and at the end we're rushing. And we're rushing over things that are important for the story, because for me, I was really engaged in the story until the last act, and then it came so fast.
Yeah.
And it doesn't ruin. I'm still really like the movie, but I could see people saying, I kind of forget what happened.
I don't think it's forgetful. I do agree that I think it's too fast, and I also think that it's not very well explained. I don't want to spoil anything, but once we get to the big reveal of what they've been looking for this whole time, like Oliver said, it was pretty much over and done within like 3 minutes.
The stuff that needed
And that
actual
was
explanation.
right, and that's what we were leading up to this whole time. That should have been your major climax, and we didn't really get a lot of information from that.
What it does have on the original Frozen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we totally
Visuals.
breezed
That's
over that.
true.
This movie is fucking gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Yes.
The water
It looks
towards
so
the end.
less like an animated film than Frozen did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to the point where, I've said this before, but I think the models in Frozen don't look good. You can tell that they were ripped from Tangled and reskinned. But they did a much better job at blending them with their environment while still making their environment look real, which is something that I think the first Frozen is actually a pretty ugly movie.
This one had a lot of color, had a lot of reds, a lot of like warm colors, in it that I felt were very like visually pleasing while you were watching the movie, especially if you like autumn like I do.
Yeah.
Like I felt very like,
Earthy.
like I like this. This was very it tonally met me.
And I think, again, we said the story, but I think this movie is able to carry a heavier story, one that you can connect to a little better, and one that's a little bit more outside the box than just...
And more complex.
Right.
Like Jeremy said, it's less of a plot as more as it is like an adventure and then an expedition into the lore of why things are the way that they are, which, like, if you like shit like that, which I know we all do,
Right.
it's very engaging, it's very interesting.
And why shouldn't Frozen have
Right.
lore? We were saying maybe this tone doesn't lend itself so much to Josh
Young
Gad as a
children.
singing snowman. And we were actually saying it's fucking wild that Olaf exists with these
Olaf
images.
was having like an existential crisis in the beginning of the movie about he's like, do I exist? Like what?
And he fit in there, I thought, so well.
He was
with the plot.
he was super
really
meta.
well.
The whole we'll talk about that, but there was like one scene specifically where it was super meta.
They're very meta in this whole movie. Yeah.
And what I wanted to say before is it's funny that we're saying what we are about the plot because everything I had read leading into it was, oh, this plot is boring. It's simple. I mean, I do think it's a little predictable.
It's
I mean,
lacking in a villain, I think, too. But
yeah.
You know what? I actually really
I
liked
didn't
that,
mind
though.
it. I didn't
yeah.
mind that.
I didn't mind that either. I don't think that. Yeah, exactly. I don't think that every movie needs to have a villain every time.
Doesn't need to be paint by numbers.
You could still have a climax, and you can still have exposition, and you can still have an ending that doesn't involve there
Fair.
being a villain.
I
Yeah.
think sometimes to have a villain, though, it makes it easier when your movie ends as quickly as this does because you have that clear thing. And when you're trying to do something without it, you got to take some more time. I'll go ahead and give Frozen 2 a solid B+. I am quite pleasantly surprised. I liked it quite a bit. I have a couple minor nitpicks. And I could have gone for another Let It Go. Who are we kidding? But overall, pretty solid time at the movies.
I really feel like I've just been handing out a lot of B's lately, but I do want to give this one a B. I did think it was very enjoyable. I also have my issues with it, but it's good. It's very good. Very enjoyable time.
What are your issues with it? I don't know if you voiced them.
I think there's a lack of consequence would be the main thing, and I think that for a children's movie, something like that is important because children can learn from movies.
And I think that consequences in your movie, not even just in a kid's movie, but consequences are part of how you build out a story.
Of course.
And
But
if you don't have it, you're missing a key element.
I agree, and I actually felt similarly while we were watching that too, because I remember like at the point where I'm just gonna start saying spoilers because we're just taking too long to get into them. But like specifically at the point where Olaf is dying and flurrying away, we are all sitting there going, we know that once Elsa's powers are restored, that he's coming back. So it's like I didn't get like upset while watching that because to me he did the same thing in the first one and the same result ended up happening.
That's right.
I give it an A. It's not an A+. As we've clearly said, there are some slight issues with it, some slight nitpicks, but a lot of the nitpicks don't necessarily take away from the movie for me. Do I think it's better than the first one? I don't know. I don't know yet. I have to kind of, let it simmer, see it a couple more times. Like 6 more times, maybe. I don't know. But, yeah, I definitely think this is a very complete movie for the most part, and I commend Disney for making a slightly more mature movie, slightly more mature kids movie that, isn't just kids and it isn't just adults. It's, kind of a little bit for everybody.
I think I'm also going to give it an A. I think that an A is a fair score. I think A+ would be too much. And like everybody else said, I do have my own issues with it here and there. Nothing really major, nothing really like groundbreaking that I would be like, yeah, no, I wasn't a huge fan of that movie. Like, no, I definitely enjoyed this. It in my head was without a doubt better than the first movie. Undisputably better than the first movie. Just because I felt that the first movie was very pedestrian, and then this movie is definitely more in depth and more mature and more full grown, and I like that. I can appreciate that. So yeah, I'm going with an A. Music is my biggest thing. If the music was better, if the music was on the same
You take
level,
such a hit with that.
if the music was on the same level as the first movie, it would have 100% been an A+.
There's 2 scenes specifically I want to talk about.
I got 2 also. That ice palace that she goes to.
Island. It's on the island.
What's the matter, Jeremy?
Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, it's the fucking Fortress of Solitude.
Fortress of Solitude.
What the fuck?
If you were sitting next to me, I would have said something about it.
Down to
Wasn't
him seeing
expecting.
seeing her parents' face in the fucking ice. It's laid out the same as the Fortress of Solitude. I'm thinking I'm fucking alone.
And the scene I want to talk about, well, the song I want to talk about is Kristoff's song, which, thank God, Jonathan Groff got a bigger role in this movie because he is tremendous. And
Did he though? Because he was out of like the main.
yeah, but he
part
had
of
more
the
speaking
movie.
lines. He actually got songs to sing in. I think he
He
was
spoke
in
a lot in Frozen 1. I
kinda
think that
one
you
of
need
the
to
heroes of
rewatch
that
I
it.
first
literally
Yeah.
watched it this morning.
I mean, he's in it plenty. He
He's in it
doesn't
plenty,
sing
but
enough. I
he doesn't.
agree.
He definitely doesn't sing enough, and I think that they gave him more of kind of his own plot. I will say he's not just a part of Anna's plot. He kind of has his own thing going on.
I love you. I'm gonna politely disagree. I actually think that he had less of his own plot in this movie.
And I almost feel like they threw him that song so that you forget that he's not in the plot all that much.
Yeah, they give him his own solo song and this whole big, like ballad 80s rock,
This is
you
the
know,
best
music
part.
video. I agree,
Yeah.
and I loved it. I was hysterical. I thought it was probably one of the best parts of the whole movie. But I'm saying, like, I think that they did that because he's really not in the movie all that much.
And see, he was almost part of the reason that I felt like it was rushed at the end, because holy shit.
Hi, what are we watching a movie?
No, we're doing a review of the movie.
Oh, what'd you go see?
Frozen 2.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Want to see them too?
Yeah.
Want to see them too?
Why is it all foggy here?
Because it's hot. We're all talking.
Hot and cold,
Don't
same
have the
time.
air on it. We get rid of the.
And I just opened the windows. I closed them.
doing anything.
I swear to God, we're not. We literally just came from. Show him your cup.
No, I see your shirt. Check out your shirt. You
Yeah. see?
Mine is too,
Look.
but it's not as obvious.
guys have a great night.
Thank you
thank
too.
you.
I think you said the dishwasher's on fire. Yeah. No, I'm not kidding.
What? And
I'm
where?
kidding. The pool just came out. Watch the fire engine's gonna come.
Are you
Really?
kidding?
100%.
Are you serious? Oh shit. Wow.
All right, be safe.
We had that.
We should try to
That was kind of scary because I
they thought-
turned my head and
they
his
thought-
gun was
they
right
thought-
there.
Hotboxing.
I saw them right behind us. I saw them get out. I saw the flashlights. I'm like, yep, they're 100% coming up to this
I
car.
saw-
Okay, let's wrap this shit up.
What are we talking about?
Bro, I don't know,
Kristoff.
man.
Kristoff scenes in the movie. Also, I didn't hate Olaf in this. I really didn't. I don't love Olaf in the first one. I think
like
he's a
him
lot
in the
better in
first
this one.
I like can't focus on anything else. I'm totally done
I'm
right
tapped
now.
out, bro.
I'm done.
You
I
really
can't do
have-
this anymore.
It
It was a good movie. Just go fucking see it. Don't get pulled over in the parking lot, even though we're not driving.
Don't hotbox
I
in
don't
the
know.
parking
We're,
lot.
Yeah, don't hotbox in the parking lot. We're not. All right, well, that's it.
all right, kids.
Go see Frozen 2.
Good night, everybody.
Homeopathy is pseudoscience.
What?
Hey, everybody, it's me and Jeremy.
Hello.
And you may have just seen the police stopping us from recording Frozen 2 review. But as it turns out, the reason they were there is the movie theater caught on fire.
It's a close call.
It was a very close call.
For us.
We were in the last completed showing of the night. And as we're clearing out of the parking lot, there's like 6 fire trucks, like all rolling up. There's squad cars everywhere. There's people running around. They're evacuating the theater. It looks like nobody was hurt. So that's, worth mentioning. Wow. Imagine if we died watching Frozen 2. Wow.
Yeah.
What a night, man.
What a night. Hey.
Um,
Slightly unrelatedly, this is the first real ride home review as we are currently driving.
One time there was a Ride 2
Back
review
home.
for Peppermint.
Well, I don't watch our show.
I don't watch our show either.
Anyway,
Sorry that there's not.
nobody was really in the mood to continue.
If you're looking for other stuff, we're way backed up right now, but we've got a ton of movies coming out that we're going to review. So stick around. There's also sketches coming real soon. Breakdown. We're gonna be talking about Sonic and Cats. If you're here, we're very sorry about the break. We didn't stop recording, but we have been having some technical difficulties with how we do this show.
The camera's shaking.
And some scheduling difficulties with some of our other content. But we will be back on track. So if you're there, thank you for watching.